I don't know if my hair has meaning, but I feel like it definitely has memory. You know, there's a history that's remembered in my hair. I think that speaks to the fact that I'm a person of African descent, whatever that means for people. For me, it's jokingly, but there's a lot of truth to it. A lot of blood was shed and legs were spread to ensure that I showed up here on this planet at this time, in this body, in this skin. And my hair is part of that story and part of that legacy. Um, so yeah, maybe my hair does have a bit of a meaning. I don't know if I have a hair story, but I definitely remember my first haircut. I grew up on St. Clair and Vaughan, and so my mother took me to this little out-of-the-way spot, and he was this big burly man from the Caribbean. And I remember he never spoke. As long as I've remembered this man, may he rest in peace, very rarely did I ever hear him speak. But I remember my first haircut and my mother taking me there and sitting in this chair, being swallowed up in this chair, and this guy beginning to cut my hair. And I remember being just so scared and terrified. And what was interesting is that not too many years ago, he passed away. And I thought about that. I actually learned the information while I was sitting in my barbershop, in the new barbershop that I'm at. And I remember thinking where I've started from, that little kid being swallowed up by a chair and this big, scary man who didn't speak, and how that sort of started me off on this process. I've done a lot of different hairstyles, but my very first haircut was with Burke on Arlington. I think I've gone through my own process around loving and not loving my hair, natural and not natural, and there was a time, particularly in my adolescence, where anything that I could do to manage my hair, I was doing. I burned out half my scalp most of the time, but it started me off on this process of really sort of figuring out what was it that I was trying to manage. And as I grew into my late teens and early 20s, I began to dread my hair. It was this act of like resistance and like I'm a black man and I'm natural and all this other sort of stuff, but it was really my process of beginning to love my hair as it was. And interestingly enough, it sort of paralleled my process of loving myself, not only as a black man, but in all of my identities and all of my forms. And I think that's one of the interesting things about hair. I think it was Trey Anthony who talked about in The Kink in My Hair how our hair really tells a lot about where we're at, how we treat it, how we feel about it. And my hair has followed a similar sort of trajectory. There was a lot of times where I was struggling with who I was, and that's usually the times I was having difficulty with my hair. Now I have very few problems with my hair. Not that I have very few problems, but I have a lot less issues around who I am in terms of my identity. And my hair has benefited as a result, I guess.